In a world where relationships are often viewed as milestones of maturity and stability, singlehood, particularly extended singlehood among men, raises eyebrows and sparks endless speculation. Some believe the longer a man remains single, the more he becomes set in his ways, difficult to compromise with, or even emotionally unavailable. Others argue that singlehood provides a man the time and space to grow in self-awareness, develop emotional intelligence, and cultivate a life of purpose on his own terms. So what really happens when a man remains single for a long time? The truth is, the longer a man is single, the more he either evolves or regresses. It all depends on how he uses that time. He becomes comfortable with himself. Extended singlehood can offer a rare chance for a man to become deeply comfortable in his own skin, without the need to constantly compromise or adjust his behavior to fit another person's expectations. He learns to understand his own likes, dislikes, ambitions, and limitations. He crafts routines, explores hobbies, and pursues passions. This self-sufficiency can be empowering, making him more confident and grounded. He risks becoming emotionally isolated. On the flip side, the longer a man stays single without meaningful emotional connections, the more he might slip into emotional isolation. Humans are social beings. Intimacy and vulnerability are vital to emotional health. Some single men, especially those who avoid vulnerability, may unintentionally build emotional walls too high to climb later. Without regular emotional check-ins from a partner, he might lose touch with how to communicate deeply or respond empathetically. Over time, emotional atrophy can set in, making future relationships more difficult. He learns independence and self-reliance. Single men often develop an impressive degree of independence. They manage their homes, finances, social lives, and health without relying on a partner. This autonomy can foster resilience, problem-solving skills, and personal growth. It forces him to rely on himself rather than expecting a partner to fill logistical or emotional roles. However, hyper-independence can also turn into a reluctance to depend on others, even when collaboration or vulnerability is needed. The longer he's single, the more likely he is to guard his routines and resent any intrusion, including from potential partners. He may develop uncompromising habits. Habits, good or bad, become entrenched over time. A man who lives alone for years often builds a life exactly the way he wants it. There's no negotiation about which side of the bed to sleep on, no compromise about TV volume or takeout choices. While this freedom is liberating, it also means he may struggle with flexibility when a partner eventually enters the picture. The longer he's lived on his terms, the harder it may be to compromise, and that rigidity can become a major barrier to lasting relationships. He gains clarity about what he wants. One of the greatest benefits of prolonged singlehood is the clarity it brings. A man who has seen enough of life on his own knows what kind of relationship he wants and what kind he doesn't. He's not chasing idealized fantasies, but looking for compatibility rooted in shared values, emotional connection, and long-term vision. Rather than settling for the first person who shows interest, he's likely to be more deliberate in his choices. This selectiveness often leads to deeper, more meaningful relationships when they do happen. He risks romantic inexperience. Experience teaches nuance. Men who date casually but avoid deep commitment over many years may miss out on the lessons that long-term relationships provide. Lessons about compromise, conflict resolution, and emotional endurance. This can lead to a kind of arrested development in romantic intelligence. As the years go by, a man may feel increasingly out of step with the rhythms of committed relationships, especially if his peers have long since married or started families. This disconnection can breed insecurity or self-doubt, further complicating future romantic prospects. He redefines masculinity and success. Traditional models of masculinity equate success with career achievement, dominance, and family leadership. But long-term single men often redefine what success means to them. Some shift their focus toward personal growth, community involvement, creativity, or adventure. They resist societal pressure to conform to outdated timelines and instead build lives of meaning that defy expectations. This redefinition can make them more empathetic, open-minded, and emotionally mature, qualities that many modern relationships thrive on. In conclusion, the longer a man is single, the more he becomes a reflection of how he has spent his solitude. For some, singlehood is a cocoon of self-discovery, turning them into grounded, emotionally intelligent, purpose-driven individuals. For others, it can become a fortress of solitude, hardening their habits and narrowing their emotional bandwidth. Extended singlehood is neither a virtue nor a vice, it's an opportunity. What a man becomes in that time is shaped not by the absence of a partner, but by the presence or absence of intentional growth. Whether he emerges from it better or bitter is up to him.